Did I? No. Okay, good. Thought I did something dumb again. And welcome to a special makeup episode of Beer Field Fantasy Football. I am your host at Hot BFF with 2 B's, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. As always, joined by 30 BFF. Dan, you're in Springfield. How are you?
I am half awake work, so we didn't get any liquor last week because of, our company wants to try to protect their stores from getting looted and all that good stuff. So they decided not to do any deliveries, and we got our first liquor and wine shipment today in 2 weeks. And I'll say that we ran out of Tito's before then. So I don't know if you've ever seen pissed off Illinoisans not have Tito's, but I got to witness that shit for a while.
Anybody pissed off about not having vodka?
Yeah, it's weird.
Tito's
Oh, by the way, I'm also wearing in because our esteemed guest is on and he's a forever truther of Lamar Jackson. I'm wearing my not too bad for a running back shirt.
I ordered one of those from RotoWare, so I'm right there with you, bro.
Hey,
I also have that.
Why don't you tell them why don't you tell the people how you have that shirt?
So our wonderful host that gets to deal with me all the time got me this shirt because he loves me.
So most days.
Some days, not so much.
All right, you heard him. So I'll just go ahead and introduce him. We have former. No, they never really take that away. Scott Fishbowl champion.
Yeah,
Stompy.
it's like president, right?
Yeah, it's like President Stompy. He was got SFB 8 champion, so we'll go with that. We can't say former because you're always that year's champion. But SuperFlex Show mainstay, all around good guy and Twitter hero, Stompy. So, Stompy, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, where they can find your stuff, a little bit about yourself before we go ahead and get into the show.
So I'm going to disagree with all around good guy. I'm a grump. It's okay. It's part of who I am, but I'm a grump. But so I have a fun story time about where you can find me on Twitter. So normally I'm at Stompy the Bear. I changed it from FF Stompy, so Stompy the Bear now. And I had some choice words for a conservative pundit named Candace Owens, and apparently one of their snowflakes, the irony here is that they like to call people snowflakes and cucks, reported me, and I got suspended for a week because I used the choice word. So I didn't want to sit out a week while all of this stuff was going on. I needed to talk about it, so I went over, recreated my alt account at Sam Stompy, but I will be back on Stompy the Bear before this comes out. So that's fun for everybody involved.
I want to say I do appreciate all the things that you put out. Like it's been a wonderful 2 weeks, and by wonderful I mean by it's been great to put a lot of these trash people in their place. So I've been thoroughly entertained and educated by the stuff you put out there. So while you may be grumpy at times, I absolutely fucking love it. So.
Well, I think it serves me for that purpose because then I just stop caring about these people, and
yeah,
I don't think that a lot of these people deserve the time of day, so I'll just go after them. But
yep.
I appreciate you guys' support on that.
Yeah, no, a lot of them do not deserve the time of day, and we'll just say this: if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world right now, take the time to learn. Take the time to educate yourself, and if you haven't yet, take the time to see it through the lens of those that are protesting and that are coming together. to make change in this country. If you don't take the time to educate yourself or to learn where they're coming from, you don't really have the right to give your opinion on it until you at least go into that with an open mind and try. That being said, we're here to get you away from all the BS in the world here for a little bit. So, COVID, protest, racial injustice. We're just here to drink some beer and talk some football.
Yes, sir.
But before we do that, speaking of football, if you like fantasy football drafting, which if you're listening to the show, I'm sure you do, you need to get your hands on the Fantasy Headliners Draft Guide. FantasyHeadliners.com, promo code beer. We'll enter you to win a DJ Moore jersey. But they have free agency moves. They break down offensive line rankings. They break down head coaching changes, offensive coordinator changes, red zone threats, anything you could possibly think of. If you want to have it in your back pocket, go ahead and check them out. We had two of their guys on, and Jake and Kyle, a couple weeks ago. We've got another one of their guys on next week. Is that right, Dan?
Chris Kennedy. Yep, Chris Kennedy, I believe, is one of their riders. Will be on when we break down the AFC East.
Yep. So we don't do anything like this because, Dan and I, we're work adverse. We'd much rather talk about it than put it on paper and crunch a bunch of numbers and stuff, even though we do that from time to time. But the Fantasy Headliners do very, very good work. They do their research. So be sure to check that out. Again, at fantasyheadliners.com, promo code beer, and get your hands on that. Speaking of beer, we're drinking beer. So we got to tell you what we're drinking if we're going to review it, and you're going to know what we're talking about. So let's get into what is fueling beer field.
Great.
What's fueling beer field?
Dan, what have you brought out for this extra special second show in a week?
So I brought out, like I talked about on Monday, I like to bring out beers, at least from the region of the division that we're talking about. I want to get the city, but if I can at least get the state, I'm good with that. So I got on today, Drumroll from Odell Brewing, Drumroll APA, Hazy Pale Ale. They're out of Fort Collins, Colorado.
That's my hometown.
That is your perfect. I felt like it was a good choice when I picked it up. Spoiler, I love this beer, but it's been a long time since I've talked about it. So I'll give my thoughts on this a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, Odell's a damn good beer. Stompy, you drinking anything?
Water.
Perfect. We'll get a review on that about halfway through the episode.
Okay, sounds good.
I am drinking a Hazy Bay Juicy IPA from Alaskan. So Alaskan does a good amber ale. I hadn't really had any of the rest of their stuff. So I got this one off of Closeout, actually, about a week or so ago. So figured I'd give her a try, give her a little pour tonight, so it didn't sit on the shelf for too long because hazies don't keep forever. We'll give you a review on Odell's Drumroll, Alaskan Hazy, and Stompy's Water about halfway through the episode. We're going to do a throwback news segment because this episode was supposed to happen a week ago, and then life happens for everybody involved. So we just kept the news there, and we haven't talked about it yet. So turn the clock back.
News.
All right, not a whole lot here. So this has changed since then, but Roger Goodell announced players are not expected to return to team facilities until training camp start. Coaching staffs were let back into facilities, I believe, this past week due to COVID. There's talks about reduced preseason. So we talked about this a little bit on Monday's show with Chris Nelson, but Stompy, your thoughts on how kind of lack of OTAs, lack of in-person reps are going to impact some of these free agents, teams with new coaches, rookies, not really getting in that live work until training camp, which may even be abbreviated?
So I'm not too worried about free agents. I mean, they're professionals. They know what they need to do. They know what they're looking at in terms of playbook, usually. So I don't think I'm too worried about free agents, but I would be very concerned about rookies because they're brand new. They haven't been able to, like, especially wide receivers haven't been able to play catch or catch the ball from their quarterbacks. Running backs aren't really getting any reps. I'm not overly concerned about running backs because the elite running backs are going to be fine, but you really need to be wary of the wide receivers. I mean, I wouldn't want to rely on rookie wide receivers anyway. I hate taking rookie wide receivers in rookie drafts because they usually don't pan out in year one, and you can get them at a with the current times right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to say things more PC, and I can't do it. So excuse me for saying these things. I don't mean them. I'm still trying to work out how we can do this, but you can buy those wide receivers a lot cheaper, or generally cheaper in their second year, entering their second year. And that's actually when they tend to break out the most. Second and third year, they break out over 50% of the time of those that do break out. But wide receivers, you're not getting any experience running routes with your quarterback, with timing, with stuff like that. So I don't think this class is going to have very many, if any, impact wide receivers year one, like we've been seeing the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, that's about where we were at with it. We were really concerned about wide receivers and then quarterbacks that aren't named Joe Burrow to a degree. And Joe Burrow, I'm not saying that because of talent. I'm saying it because, you don't have a Ryan Fitzpatrick or a Tyrod Taylor there with him. It's Joe Burrow or Ryan Finley. You're not putting in Ryan Finley.
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow is going to start. But you could see some stunting here to Tua, at least to start off, to Justin Herbert here to start off. Those guys that we expect.
Tua, I think they would be super advised or ill-advised, whatever you want to say, to play Tua this year.
Yeah.
They have Fitzpatrick for a reason. Fitzpatrick wants to teach Tua. Let Tua get full healthy. I don't think he's fully healthy, although he's been working out and stuff, but it's a hip. I don't want to mess with that. And especially with a quarterback who has the ceiling of Tua, who they haven't seen in a very long time.
Right.
Since Dan Marino, if I really think about it.
Yeah.
They haven't had anybody else, have they? I mean, they had Pennington at one point. They had Tannehill. And that's really it.
How dare you besmirch the name of Jay Cutler?
Oh, sorry. they had Smoking Jay Cutler for part of a season. But yeah, I think that Miami needs to sit Tua the entire season, learn behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, get healthy, and then he can come into next season with the same offensive scheme. So he's already on top of it, and he can start working out with his receivers.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too worried about Tua, but that also means that in redraft, Tua's not worth it. Tua's just not worth it unless it's like a keeper league and you take a flyer on him in like the 17th round.
Yep, and that's more what I'm looking at with that statement is more of your redraft leagues where, even if you were of the opinion that Tua might start at some point, or that they may look that way, that, they are going to go that route, not give them time to heal, not give them time to learn, which I agree with you completely, that the right call is to, with most rookie quarterbacks, is to let them sit and learn if at all possible. It's even more of an uphill battle now than it would have been before. And it's the same deal with Herbert out there in Los Angeles, who also, just from a talent and a development standpoint, needs to sit and learn. But Chargers a little bit different than Miami. They've got some pieces elsewhere, have a little bit of a window, and if Tyrod isn't working out, then you could see, maybe them try to go a different route.
That's wild to me. There's just, first off, that pick was atrocious. Like, it's not a good pick. He's not. I guarantee you, he's not your next franchise QB. I just don't like Herbert. I could be very wrong because I was very wrong about Daniel Jones, but I just don't like it.
Are we like, it's been 1 year for Jones?
No. I'm not.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I shouldn't say wrong. I should say
He's flashed
We're
more than
surprised me.
He surprised
us.
He's flashed more than what I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to come in and be atrocious.
Yeah.
Right, and we could talk about that too, leading into what we're going to do today in this AFC West breakdown. But he also lost his quarterback coach and his coach from last year, and we know that Mike Shula and Pat Shermer have done fantastic jobs with middling quarterbacks the last 5-6 seasons. They had Sam Bradford, who had a great season before he got injured.
Made Case Keenum look like a freaking
star.
star.
Case Keenum had a career year under him, and then he went to the Broncos and just took a giant shit. I mean, Daniel Jones, like I said, everybody expected far less from Daniel Jones, and he looked like a competent quarterback. And I have to think Mike Shula and Pat Shermer had a hand in that.
Oh, I 1000% agree. I'm not saying that Jones is going to be bad this year. It's just we tend to fall in love with these rookies after year one.
Baker Mayfield.
I mean, Baker, trust me, I am one of the biggest Baker Mayfield truthers out there. Absolutely love him. But you have to change your expectations with new information. I did the same thing with Jones. I did the same thing with Josh Allen. I did the same thing with Devin Singletary until they drafted Zach Moss. Now I just don't fucking care about the situation. So that's just kind of like, you have to be able to adjust how you feel. You don't have to call them, busts or hits after 1 year, but you can definitely, change your tune on them.
Speaking of year one quarterbacks people are stupid high on, Kyler Murray. So DeAndre Hopkins said he expects to post better numbers in Arizona. Just to reiterate my stance on this, no, he won't. No, there ain't no way. He's not going to get 150 plus targets in that offense. Not with Fitzgerald, not with Kirk, not with Kenyan Drake, not with the mouths that you have to feed there. Yes, they run a lot of plays, but he's not the only guy in town. And Will Fuller misses 9 games a year. And other than that, you didn't have anybody really taking targets in Houston at any point really in his career, not since he was there with Andre Johnson. Really, I do not see, and I don't think anybody that I have talked to sees an increase for DeAndre Hopkins out of this move.
I've seen plenty of people say that he will be better.
I'm not buying that.
You said it, and it's the same with Stephon Diggs, where those situations just aren't conducive for them being. Okay, let's be real. I do think DeAndre Hopkins is a wide receiver 1 as long as he stays healthy, but top 3, top 5 in Arizona, I don't think so. Looking back at the Cardinals last season, they had 2 guys. They had Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk over 100 targets, and then the next highest was David Johnson, who only started 9 games. Had 47. So it drops off a cliff after the top 2. And then it's just like 47, 46, 42, 35, 33, 24, 21. Everybody gets in on it in Arizona. And that's what we expected from, and I just forgot his name. Holy
Cliff
crap.
Kingsbury.
Head coach.
Kingsbury.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. That's what we expected from him. And so now you add another guy who needs targets, and he'll siphon targets from Fitz and Kirk. I'm quite sure. But we shouldn't be forgetting the second-year wide receivers. They have 3 very highly touted wide receivers from the last draft in 2018 or 2019 with Keyshawn Johnson, Andy Isabella, and Hakeem Butler. Like, people just seem to forget Hakeem Butler and how much of a freak that dude is, and how different of a player than everybody else on that roster is in terms of the pass catchers. So, there are a lot of people to catch footballs there. So, I'm saying like 120 targets max from him.
Yeah. And he has produced on that. If you go back to 2014, 127 targets, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, but you're not getting in any form of PPR league 104 receptions out of that, 115, 111 receptions out of that.
Yeah.
That's enough to drop him from elite tier down to that back end wide receiver 1, especially in a passing league.
Well, there's things that people forget to mention too, is that the Cardinals was middle of the road in passive attempts per game. So people think that this is yes, it's a very high up tempo offense. They want to run a lot of plays. They want to push the tempo, push the clock, but they're still running the football a lot. Whether it was David Johnson or Chase Edmonds or eventually Kenyan Drake or Kyler Murray, they don't it's not like this team is leading the league in passing attempts. This isn't Atlanta, so to expect DeAndre Hopkins to get even, let's say, 25% target share, he may not get 120 targets. If this team is winning, if this team is being successful, they're taking advantage of one-on-one matchups. Yes, Hopkins can definitely win that, but Fitz ridiculously good out of the slot. The Christian Kirk can win all over the field. It's behooved to me that Hopkins is going to get fed the way that he's been fed since he's been playing, since Houston. So you can't just expect him, even if he gets 120 targets, it's going to, amount to a top 5 finish.
Yeah. One other piece of news here that doesn't really have fantasy implications. It's just a thing to know. The NFL killed the Belichick loophole where, with the false start thing at the end of games where you could just commit multiple penalties around the clock. And they're going to allow 3 players to return from IR this season. So just something to keep.
What a stupid goddamn proposal that is.
So
why did he think that was going to go well for him?
Yeah.
We're just going to commit penalties and run out the clock. No. How is that exciting at any point? Oh, no, we committed another penalty. Shoot.
I mean, you get enough of that anyway. Holding.
Yeah.
Oh, holding again. Yeah, it's not. All right, let's get into this division preview because I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of talking. And this is going to get real fun real quick.
Division preview.
All right, let's go ahead and start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Dan makes these notes, so please direct all hate to him. I am just delivering them. Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, all top 5 or better players within their position groups. Yes? I think so.
I basically, I put that down so we don't have to spend time, talking about it.
Yeah, I don't have to talk about it. Yes.
We all know who the fuck they are.
Yes, obviously. Edwards-Helaire, 409, running back 22, or Damian Williams, 703, running back 30. Who do you prefer? Go ahead, Stompy.
I mean, I think this is pretty obvious in terms of redraft, right? Or, in terms of dynasty, right?
Yeah, in terms of dynasty. We're talking redraft right now.
Yeah. All right. Getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire that late.
Yeah.
I think I want Clyde Edwards-Helaire. As RB20 really?
Right now he is. I fully expect it. It's tough for me to see it round 2. It really is. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be trying to pump the brakes on it. But I for sure seeing this end early to mid round 3.
See,
August.
I don't know if I do though, because you didn't get that out of David Montgomery or Miles Sanders. And yes, I get it. It's the Chiefs' offense, but I don't know that it jumps up to second round.
They also weren't first round picks put on to the offense.
I don't we probably shouldn't be using that argument because Rashad Penny and Sony Michel were first round
trust
picks.
me, I completely agree. But when you have respected people out there that are already claiming him as an RB1, well, they won't draft him as a first or second round pick. When you put that out there, you get a lot of people by late July, early August that are coming into fantasy. They're coming back because these are the casually competitive guys. They're gonna pump him up. It's rookies. People want to own them.
It's never Damian Williams for me. And the
I know that for you. I know that for you.
I honestly don't mind Damian Williams. I think he's going to get some play. I think he will be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 50-50 split because they both have similar skill sets. I mean, yes, I'm not claiming Damian Williams is as good as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but they both can run through the middle. They both can catch the ball. And Damian Williams should have been the Super Bowl MVP, really. But it was Mahomes. But Damian Williams, each of the last 2 seasons, the back half of that season, he just kind of crushed. And I don't know why they wouldn't use him to kind of save Clyde Edwards-Helaire, especially because I think Damian Williams, or did he sign another contract? Because I thought
he signed a 1-year extension,
1 year.
about 2.1 mil extension from.
So they have him. Why not use him? Save some of the legs for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that way, when he gets into year 2, year 3, like you can continue this window and continue to have these elite options. Why? I mean, that would be the best way to do it. Is that way, when he gets to year 4, year 5, he's had his legs saved a bit so he can perform instead of grinding down a lot of running backs we see in the NFL.
How high would Helaire have to go before you're out on him? What does that ADP have to rise to before you say no, that's too high?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily ADP. It's in terms of ranks. I'm going to look up fantasy calculator.
So I have it pulled up right now. Like, this is up. I just updated this while the show was going on. I was just trying to get updated up to it. For me personally, it's I wouldn't trust him as my RB1. I have a hard time trusting him as my RB2.
You're barely trusting him as a 2 where he's at right now.
Yeah, so I want him, if I go robust RB, if I go heavy RB to start my draft, he's someone I'm targeting.
You should be going heavy RB in the draft, by the way.
Right, you should.
Regardless, you should. And this is why I may own a lot of them in redraft is because if he does say at this point, is if he's my RB3, I forgo the bust risk for the most part because I have 2 solid RBs on my team already, and I just have his upside where I think he controls the backfield at some point mid to late season. It just takes the risk out of it. So that's where I'm at with it, and why I still like Damian Williams even as like beginning of these season where I'm trying to win the first few weeks. He's at a value in the 7th round.
I'll draft Josh Love before I draft Damian Williams. But for me, shout out Josh Love. Using what Stompy just said, I'm going off of ranks. If Edwards-Helaire is 16 or later, I'd have to consider it.
Here's my it looks like he's around. Well, and I don't know where you guys got your ADP, so take this with a grain of salt. But it looks like, according to Fantasy Football Calculator, he's going ahead of Dalvin Cook in the redraft.
Which one are you looking at right now? I'm looking at like today's ADP, half-point PPR.
Oh, I've done June 8th to June 10th. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're doing 2 days worth. That's a good idea. I'm going to change that, actually.
It's 1,234 mock drafts. So he's going where he's going. I actually don't mind it. Because he's going ahead of Dalvin Cook, then Todd Gurley, Fournette, Gordon, David John. I mean, everybody beyond that, except for maybe Chris Carson, is a question mark. And so why not take that high-end pass-catching running back and take that swing instead of having these other question marks that really don't have that high of a ceiling? So honestly, back into the second, I don't hate it. By that time, generally, I'll probably have somebody like Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler. I would rather have that combination. But where he's going right now, I don't mind it as your RB2. Just because he's behind at least 12 other running backs, maybe a couple more, depending on how your ranks go. Like I would take Jonathan Taylor ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So yeah, I mean, back into the second, early first is probably about where I would be willing to take him at its highest.
Okay.
Yeah. I can agree with that. It is back into the second. I could feel comfortable with that, and that's probably, I mean, just looking at it, I said 16th running back off the board. Yeah. So that's about where the way that I've got it broken down, that would be Chris Carson at the 305. So yeah, that makes
So yeah, I mean, and
It's
you're
that
right. I
range for
would
me.
not trust him as my RB1, but as my RB2, I'd be fine.
yeah, because I'm gonna have 2 or 3 guys that could be my RB2. I'm not just
Yeah.
gonna have one there. So
Right.
I'm with you. All right. Any other wide receiver outside of Tyreek Hill that you want to own on this
Take-
offense?
I mean, best ball, get
Hardman.
You can
Hardman.
probably stack them if you want to do best ball stack. I like the Hardman Watson stack and best ball because you can get them both pretty late.
Hardman.
Hardman,
Did you say-
Watson, Justin.
Yeah, like you stack. Well, I mean, like you stack the receiver. Like you could, like if you don't.
Did
take
you
Hill,
you
can
mean
stack them.
Mahomes?
You mean
Oh,
Hill?
like you can stack both receivers. You can take
Oh,
Watson.
Oh, Watkins.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can stack the receivers and Watson
Watkin-
and Hardman.
Watkins.
Watkins. I'm sorry. What if?
That's why I was confused.
I'm confused.
Yeah,
I'm
I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's
A
been a
Watson?
long. It's been a long day.
I just at some point we have to just say Sammy Watkins is not going to do it, right? We have to give up on him at some point, right? I understand that he's in the top offense in the league, but I mean, what did he do after week 1 last year?
Nothing.
I'm not excited about him. I'm just saying if you want to go that route, I don't think.
I'm not wasting a draft pick.
what?
I'll take Hardman for the
Yeah.
weeks that he goes off and give me.
I'll take Hardman for like just redraft in general for Watkins. I have
What-
no interest
yeah,
in
yeah.
Watkins. in
What's his
redraft.
ADP? Hardman's
Hardman's?
probably late, right?
Watkins right now is the 1006 wide receiver
I don't
46.
care where Watkins
Hardman
is.
is wide receiver 38 at 808.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I have no issue taking Miko as my wide receiver. I guess 4.
Yeah.
By that point, maybe 3. I wouldn't like him as my 3, but wide receiver 4 is fine.
He's a guy that you're gonna plug in if you need to, and he's gonna give you a chance at a big game, regardless.
If he blows
so-
up, if
Yeah.
he blows up, great. You
I'm
know,
on
that's
board
what
with
is
that.
what you're hoping for.
Completely on board with that one. All right. Anything else on the Chiefs?
No, because I hate him. But Andy Reid had a press conference today that made me like another Chief. I'm a huge Mahomes fan, and I want to cry because I don't like the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Andy Reid is a
Okay.
good man.
Andy
Good
Reid
man.
is a good man. There's a lot to, even if you don't like the Chiefs, it's one of those things. It's like me with the St. Louis Blues or something like that. I'm a Blackhawks fan. It's I don't like the jersey they're wearing. I don't dislike much else. So, and I think that the Chiefs are a lot like that from the coaching staff down. I mean, I don't, you might not like the jersey they're wearing, but there's some people you can root for there as human beings. All right, on to the Denver Broncos. Drew Lock's path to quarterback 1.
this is all you guys. I'm taking the back seat to this. So you guys can have your fun.
All right, I'm
I'm
gonna.
gonna have fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. So, I love Drew Lock. I love what I saw out of Drew Lock. I love what I saw in games he started. I thought that that there were times where I saw him controlling the offense beyond his years. He looked poised. He looked comfortable. He has weapons around him. His path to a QB1 is just merely improve on last year and throw some of that consistency out there. And, I think he could slip into the back end. Am I drafting as my quarterback 1? No, he's a good second to have in SuperFlex because there's a lot of upside there. He is going to be a guy that we talk about as a streamer a lot of weeks. I don't know that I'm ready to say he's a locked and loaded quarterback 1, but the path to quarterback 1 is simply that he takes the next step into his potential off of what he showed last year. And I think that he very well could get there with the weapons that are around him.
Yeah, I mean, you basically said everything that I love about him this season. We had questions about his decision making, questions about his vision. He did have one abysmal game in the 4. He had one fantastic game in the 5. One fantastic game in the 5, and the other 3 were good enough to get wins. And I don't know what else you can ask from a rookie who's coming off of wrist surgery and playing the last 5 games of the season with injuries abound on the offensive line.
Most of training camp with a thumb injury.
Yep.
So
I mean, and other things here. I talked about Mike Shula and Pat Shermer going to the Denver Broncos. I've already said that those two have dealt with some terrible QBs. I mean, the best one that I can really think of that Shermer has really dealt with was Mark Bolger. And Mark Bolger was injured in 2009. Right. But he had Sam Bradford after that. He had Colt McCoy on the Browns. He had Brandon Whedon on the Browns. He had Nick Foles in 2013. I don't that might have been the year that
was that with the Chiefs? Right?
No, that was with
Philly. Was that a Michael Vick year?
No, it was late. I thought no, it might have been actually.
Because Chip Kelly was Nick Foles' like ridiculous blow up efficiency season. I thought Shermer was with Reed at that time.
Hold on, I can look.
This says it was Philadelphia.
Was it Philadelphia? Okay.
Let me look.
But the point still stands. Then he had Bradford, Keenum, a dead Eli Manning, and then Daniel Jones. So maybe Daniel Jones is the best one that he's
2013
coached.
2013 was a Michael Vick year. Yeah, 13.
Okay. So, and I think he got injured.
Yep, 6 starts out of Vick and 10 out of Nick Foles. It's the year that,
and I believe that was the year he had the 7-game.
Yep.
Or 7-touchdown game.
27
or was it 6 and then Manning broke it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
27 touchdowns to 2 picks, and Chip Kelly was the head coach. Shermer was the OC.
Okay.
But point is, he has not had good quarterbacks, except for maybe Daniel Jones could turn into a good quarterback. But I think they helped Daniel Jones, both Shula and Shermer, helped Daniel Jones look far more competent than any of us really could have guessed when he was picked, 104 last year, or was it 106? Doesn't really matter. It was too early anyway.
In the first round was too early.
Yeah. So having those two there, I think will help Drew Lock progress as a quarterback and continue his progression like he started last year. And there's a lot of good stuff coming out of, I guess, Broncos media, where it seems like Locke is picking up the offense really well. So that's always encouraging, because the last time we saw, or the last guy that we picked in the first round was Paxton Lynch, and he was real good at playing video games, but not studying. But the other aspect of Shermer, and I'm sorry, I've been developing this argument for a long time.
You're good,
so I keep adding. So if you just look at the passing attempts for his offenses, he has I think all but 1 or 2 seasons he has led his team to the top half in passing attempts, his offense in the top half of passing attempts. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons of top 10 passing attempts. So that's there. That defense is fantastic. So it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Locke to win. Basically all he has to do is not turn the ball over all that much. And then we've mentioned the weapons. Jerry Jeudy's arguably the best route runner in this class, and so I think he makes an immediate impact, a la Calvin Ridley. He'll be playing a significant amount from the slot. So I love that. Cortland Sutton shined last year. He was fantastic in contested catch rate. He was just overall took a gigantic step last year in his second year, and is poised to be a true wide receiver 1 this year, especially with Locke. KJ Hamler, his speed is stupid. And so when you get 3 wide receiver sets out there, they're going to be hard to guard, because let's say they play 11 personnel most of the time, which I would imagine they want to do. They have Fant, they have KJ Hamler, they have Jerry Jeudy, and they have Cortland Sutton. I believe Cortland Sutton and Fant might be tied for the slowest 40 in all of those guys, and they ran it at like 4.5.
Yeah, they're fast.
So that speed is stupid. And then Phillip Lindsey is stupid fast too. And Melvin Gordon's no slouch. He's 4.5, 340 when he was entering the draft. So the weapons abound. And then we forget Albert Ogwegbunam. There you go.
There you go. I'm impressed by that. Alberto. He could get out there in some 12 personnel though in a move formation, and he was
But yeah, he was the Locks tight end at
Mizzou,
Missouri. So there's some chemistry there, and didn't he have 12 touchdowns in one season?
Yeah,
he was like this isn't a throwback to the 17 draft. He was like Michael Roberts for Toledo that year, where like he just like all he did was catch touchdowns. He was like Bubba Franks.
Yeah, okay, that was in 2017. Okay, but yeah, he was a big target in the end zone for Drew Lock, and then he ran He ran faster than Noah. He's more athletic than Noah Fant. Like to have two wide receivers or two tight ends do that, it I guess brings back memories of Gronkowski and Hernandez. I'm not going to say they're those two, but that's kind of what we're dealing with in terms of the speed of those two tight ends and just the speed all around.
Yeah.
So they basically made the adjustments they needed to try and keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of offense while maintaining the defense they have. And then we all forget that they made a big signing, and I always forget his name, and it's Graham, and I can't. Nope, that's Graham Glasgow. Jesus, they signed Graham Glasgow.
Lineman.
Jawan James that they traded for last year was injured in like week 1. And they got a lot of like good.
Didn't Garrett Bowles play banged up most of last year too?
Garrett Bowles just at least he's not. I'll say this: at least he's not letting people hit his quarterback. So that's one thing those holds accomplish. But so they get better on the offensive line because they actually get a starter at right tackle that will be good. They get a starter at right guard that will be good, and their left guard is fantastic as well. And then they got like some legit late round steals in terms of the offensive line as well that could end up being huge. But the fact remains is every aspect of this offense got better. So with that in mind, and with Drew Lock's arm talent, I think he can be a top 10, possibly top 5 quarterback this season.
Okay. I'm completely on board with the fact that he could be top 10. As far as to your point on Shermer, by the way, averages 584 pass plays over the last, I think, since 2010 is what I took that back to. So definitely up there as far as pass attempts. If you get Drew Lock passing 580 plus times, quarterback one, not the one, but a quarterback one season is definitely in the realm of possible outcomes. And to point on Alberto, they just got to deploy him in the right way. We were talking in the news segment about how lack of training camp, lack of reps and things hurts wide receivers. I think it hurts tight ends probably more than anybody else because they tend to come along slower anyway. But if they, for him, are just like, yeah, you can focus on being a move tight end and just get out there and run routes for a lot of this, then yeah, I could absolutely see him having a role as well and being just another weapon. I don't know that he's not fantasy relevant in year 1, but he's definitely going to have, it's another weapon for Lock.
Yeah, I mean, they know what they're doing, and there's been a lot of criticism about Elway, especially in Denver, about how he's drafted in the past. He's been a lot better the last couple of years because I think he's actually listening to his advisors and understanding that he needs to go with actual data from scouts and stuff and not just his own gut feeling. But he does a fantastic job of adjusting his team when he sees the weaknesses. So we saw it in 2013 when they lost the Super Bowl handily, adjusted from going all out offense to all out defense. And look, they won it in 2015. And here we are again. He understands that the Chiefs are basically the biggest barrier to the Broncos being successful. So he got speed and he got big armed quarterback to try and match the Chiefs without changing much in terms of the defense. So he's done a fantastic job, and I think it'll be very interesting, the Chiefs Broncos this year.
I agree.
It'll be fun.
All right.
hold on.
Sorry.
We have a little bit of fun with this. So, like I said, I wanted to do some either ors in here. I want to test to see how high this Drew Lock goes. This Drew Lock love goes. So right now, at least based on my fantasy calc ADP, Drew Lock's going as a QB 23 at the 1403. Okay. Disrespect. You can basically get him for free. You guys will answer this. I don't care who goes first. I want to read off. We're going to go, not all these players, but I'm going to pick and choose. I want to see how high this team goes. Drew Lock or Ben Roethlisberger. I don't care.
Sorry, I was on mute. Lock, not close.
Okay. Topper?
I would probably lean Lock a bit there.
Okay.
I mean, Ben, I've mentioned, scares me a little bit coming off the elbow injury.
That's fair. So right now, Big Ben's QB 18. Let's go to Matthew Stafford.
I didn't take him at that value. Honestly.
Right, nuts. So Drew Lock or Matthew Stafford?
These are like, so it's actually kind of funny. I think the Broncos and the Lions offenses are very much alike, especially now that they took Swift.
Yeah.
Because you have the two receivers. You have Sutton as Galladay. Marvin Jones is a little bit different than anybody, but I mean, kind of a combination of Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. You have the young athletic tight ends. You have the gunslinger quarterback, and you have the two legit running backs. I'm going to stick with this is the one where I'm like, ooh, because I like Stafford a lot more than a lot of the guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
Especially because last year it was QB2 or QB3 in points per game before he got injured.
Yeah, he was like that team was fucking high.
Yeah, and so
cylinders before he got hurt.
So that defense got worse, by the way. So
yeah,
Matthew Stafford could have been in for 600 plus passing attempts again. But so I think I'm going to go with Stafford just because Stafford has been a QB1 for basically his entire career, but like 2 seasons, and he's probably has his best offense he's had ever. No offense to Megatron.
No, for sure.
So I'm probably still Drew Lock on that side. Actually,
Wow.
I think Roethlisberger was a little closer for me than what Stafford was, and it's not that I disrespect Matt Stafford. I love Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford for years was one of my favorite values because he was always disrespected. Thing is, I look at Shermer versus Darrell Bevel, and I look at who's likely to get more out of their quarterback and lean on the run game a bit less, and I trust Shermer more for that than I do Bevel. I think that the Lions have the choice that they would rather run the football and play defense. I think Shermer's more apt to open it up. So give me Drew Lock.
That's not all right. So Stafford was the QB 15. We can all agree that's massive disrespect.
By the way,
Stafford should be higher.
He should be.
This thought that Darrell Bevel doesn't really throw the ball, doesn't really track to me.
Sure.
If you look at his career, just in terms of pass attempts for his QBs, it's been going up basically every year since 2012. So I think he's starting to realize that this that his system wasn't working, and that they need to throw the ball, but especially because that defense in Detroit's not going to be good. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. So I have to imagine they're going to throw the ball a decent amount just because of that. But I think the Bevel and running the ball a lot has kind of gone out the window with the last 4 or 5 seasons.
I mean, 554 pass attempts with Seattle is fine. 550 is an okay number. It's just, I worry about if they don't have to because of what you have looking at the larger, 9-year sample basically, to where it was about even-ish for what they were going to do. So just looking at the larger sample size, I agree with you. He has trended upwards. But I don't know how much of that was the way Pete Carroll wanted to play with Seattle. I don't know how much of that was, the stable of running backs that they had. But playing the odds on that one. But your point that he has thrown more as it's gone along does, it true. I'm not going to sit here and call you a liar. So
Stafford was on pace for 580.
Yeah, I looked at the wrong year. I was looking at year before. Hit 554.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, he's basically been 550 plus his entire career.
Mhm.
And around kind of the same pace, 35 to 40 passing attempts per game
Right.
his entire career. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be overly competitive in that division, personally. With the Vikings, and that
The Vikings
combination
and
of
the
offense and
Packers
defense.
and
The
definitely
Packers, yeah. I mean,
probably not the
and
Bears.
then the Bears defense too. It's
Yeah.
just I have to suspect that they are going to have to throw a decent amount, and
Sure.
so. And I mean, Stafford's, especially since about 2014, has just been a
It's been good.
efficient, good passer.
Yeah. Constantly
so
in
that's
the
where I'm
back
at,
end
yeah.
of that quarterback one tier, he's kind of like, it was almost like poor man's Matt Ryan as far as productivity goes,
Yeah.
without the draft capital. So, I love Matt Stafford, and really 15 is probably not any higher than I want to take Locke. So, yeah, probably closer on Stafford and Locke than I initially thought, actually, after that talking to Uncle Stompy just gave me.
We got one more.
Give me one more.
One more. And this is a shout out to your fellow co-hosts, their Hugh over there. Drew Lock or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, it's not close. It's Drew Lock. I just yelled at. Okay, I'm gonna share something with you.
Open it up.
Open it
I
up.
want you to guess who he has, John has Aaron Rodgers ahead of in terms of dynasty.
Oh, dynasty?
Yeah.
Well, I know that he
doesn't
he's
adjust
very
quick.
much. He wants to stick it to people adjusting their rankings too soon. I have to imagine Rodgers is still a top 5 QB for him. Is he still ahead of Kyler for him?
I'm gonna go look at.
Is he ahead of
rankings
Lamar
now.
for him? Because I was gonna guess Lamar Jackson.
No.
He's not?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure he understood that Lamar, like Aaron Rodgers, can't reach that peak that Lamar can.
Then I'd like to hear some of the names that he has him ahead of to see how much.
Well, there was one in particular. The one in particular is the one I yelled at him for.
Watson?
Hold on, I don't think so. He loves Watson.
I was gonna say. I can't.
I want to know how high he has him too.
I gotta think he's top 5. And this isn't.
It might be. I mean,
love
I would
John.
not be. I would not be. Oh, I'll talk shit about John.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, this is like
it was.
I
raged.
I don't think we've
while.
had John on either. We should get John on sometime.
Okay, where are we at here?
We'll get him on after this episode. He can give his rebuttal.
Where I can't even find him in terms of the. Hold on a second. I got to search. Dead air.
All right.
Sorry.
Anyway, nope. That's cool. We'll keep talking.
Aaron Rodgers is the QB. He's going at 36 overall. I don't know what they don't split it into QB.
Okay.
But he has him ranked as 12th overall. Overall in
12th overall?
Overall?
In SuperFlex.
I know John loves his QBs, but damn.
In SuperFlex.
That's nuts. He's got 2 years.
So he does have him ahead of Kyler Murray.
I figured he would. He hates, like, with all respect to him, because he doesn't want to be reactionary, especially after what we've seen from Baker and even Carson Wentz the last few years, where the drop off has generally happened.
He changed it. He lied to me, but at one point today, he said he had him ahead of Dak. And that's the one that set me off.
Okay, yeah, no, that should not be the case at all.
No. But apparently it's not true. He has Dak ranked 7th overall.
Gotcha.
All right. I wanted to get the blood boiling a little bit. Hopper, we can keep moving.
All right, transition was going to be to Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsey. You had them both. Lindsey at the 904, running back 40. Gordon at the 307, running back 17. My initial thoughts on this were that's fair on Gordon and a steal on Phillip Lindsey.
Agreed on both.
How do we feel about Melvin Gordon? I'm nervous about this backfield. It just feels I'm not super high on Melvin Gordon as much. Phillip Lindsey's a good running back. He's been efficient. He's very athletic. The offense should open up the running game more, which bodes well for a guy like Phillip Lindsey. who is likely better in open space than Melvin Gordon is at this point in his career. So it just like the move itself didn't make sense to me to bring in Melvin Gordon, especially after this, especially when the draft happened.
Yeah, I think it's a good move because they needed a second running back. They tried to give Royce Freeman 50% of the touches, and he just was not doing it. I think bringing Melvin Gordon into that Royce Freeman role over the last 2 seasons, definitely it keeps both fresh. So you're not going to see Melvin Gordon getting 270 carries. You'll see him probably around 200 to 220 carries, probably around 50 targets. So
yeah, but is that enough to be a top third round like
to be the running back?
Where's he going?
200
behind who as RB what?
He's the RB. So
he's the running back ADP, 17, right?
He's the RB 17 going at the 307.
Yeah.
So he's going behind Chris Carson, Kenyan Drake, Lev Bell, Austin Eckler, and ahead of Devin Singletary, James Conner, Mark Ingram, and David Johnson.
So James Conner and Mark Ingram are low, but other than that, I agree with that.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a gauge because I feel that like I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit too low, maybe a little bit too skeptic of Melvin Gordon in this offense. I like Phillip Lindsey more. I think he's better fit for this offense.
I think in terms of efficiency, sure. I love Phillip Lindsey. I legitimately think they can have 2 top 24 running backs this season.
Okay,
I do too.
Because Phillip Lindsey is
hyper efficient.
He can take a full load, but he has been so efficient with his touches. Yeah, you got it. But he's been so efficient with his touches that he doesn't need. He can be Alvin Kamara-esque, and Melvin Gordon can be Mark Ingram-esque in this offense where they both get touches. Phillip Lindsey probably gets less because he's not as big, but he can still put up legit numbers because he is efficient with the ball and he's so fast. So I like Melvin Gordon. And the way I draft, he's usually my 3rd running back, maybe 4th, where the way I draft right now. So I'm perfectly okay with that because it's basically just a solid, I think, RB2 at that point.
Yeah, I'm with you. Todd Gurley, by the way, 223 attempts last year. Phillip Lindsey, 224. Saquon, 217. So, I mean, you're telling me that you're giving a guy 270 touches. I definitely think he can sneak into that back end running back 2 range.
Was hurt too. I mean, Barkley would have likely sniffed at 300 touch range.
Basing it on touches, though, right? In where these guys finished. So, Mark Ingram, only 202 carries. So, just saying, 270 touches, based on what Stompy just threw out there. Yeah, I believe it can slide as a running back 17. If you're getting 250 plus touches.
270 touches? Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that just. I mean, he said 50 targets.
That's well, I use targets as touches because to me that means you're getting a touch at that point. It's a weird argument, but
not carries, not carries, touches. Those are different things.
I know.
Yeah. Phillip Lindsey finished as the RB, and I'm looking, and did I scan over him?
Oh man,
he was only the RB 30 in points per game, but overall. He was the RB.
Oh yeah,
20.
Yeah,
sorry.
20.
So yeah, and he had about 250 touches last season, or 270 touches last season as the RB1 there.
I wouldn't go any higher.
So just basically flip the roles where Melvin Gordon's going to take most of the load. So he'll get the 270 touch mark. Lindsey probably around 200, but he'll be efficient with them. So I like both of them at their price right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Lindsey actually has more room to come up for me to still be okay with them than what Gordon does. I'm probably not going to take Melvin Gordon much higher than running back 17. But Phillip Lindsey at the running back 40, I mean, you can pull him up probably a solid 10 to 15 spots, and I'm still fine with it.
Yeah, I have like I said, I like if I have to pick one or the other, I'm obviously taking Phillip Lindsey. I wouldn't be surprised if Lindsey moves up. You'll see Gordon move down slightly. I mean, it's I don't know. Like I said, I'm conflicted on this backfield.
Sure.
Here's a question: Phillip Lindsey or Devin Singletary?
Phillip Lindsey.
Phillip Lindsey.
I think Devin Singletary he had 2 goal line carries last year, and he again massively efficient and not overly athletic behind a top 7 offensive line. Zach Moss can at least. I mean, he's not athletic as well, but he's bigger. He's 25 pounds bigger than him. I think he'll be the one that takes most of Frank Gore's carries away, especially around the red zone. I think Singletary is going to bust wherever he's being drafted at right now.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's Phillip Lindsey, and it's not even close for me. I am not on the Devin Singletary train.
You don't even like Devin Singletary.
I think that the efficiency is going to balance out a little bit there. We're not huge on Devin Singletary here.
That's fine. I mean, I get it. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Singletary until my RB4. I would say the same thing about Phillip Lindsey, but that's because, again, I draft super heavy running back, like 3 running backs, 4 running backs, especially in redraft first, and then I'll pick a wide receiver.
I normally start 3 running back. Like I'll maybe sneak a receiver in. In my first 4 rounds, I'm more than likely 3 running backs.
Well,
and like I want 2 staple and I want 1 extreme upside.
And to continue on this tangent of draft strategy here, there's some wide receivers that I think are going that have huge upside that are going cheap right now. That you can grab 2 of, and 1 hits and you're good. So yeah, all day. As far as what to make of the pass catching core, Stompy touched on this earlier. I just agree with him. Cortland Sutton has the chance to be a wide receiver 1, but you're still looking at high end 2 for him. Jerry Jeudy, I think, might not come along as much as people think he will in that first year, but what Calvin Ridley did in year 1 in terms of overall finish, I think is probably not out of the realm of possible outcomes for Jerry Jeudy. And I'm not touching KJ Hamler because I think he'll have a couple boom games, but it's not something that I necessarily want to bet on there in redraft.
Yeah, so right now, Cortland Sutton's wide receiver 15 at the 403.
That's fair.
How do you feel about that? Is that fair?
I feel like it's fair.
Jeudy.
Yeah, I think you're picking him about the middle of his outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's a good balance between floor and ceiling. I think Sutton's going to smash this year. I think with as we talked about the lack of an offseason, a really odd start to the season here. Jeudy has the skill set to kind of, if he can grasp the playbook quickly and he can develop chemistry with Locke quickly, I think he could produce. Calvin really made his heyday in fantasy his rookie season on what was it, like 2 or 3 games, all based off of touchdowns. And he gave you some of those bust weeks in between. I think that's a fair consideration for most of these rookie receivers, including a possession style receiver like Jerry Jeudy, where Locke could lean on his number 1 outside threat, with all those weapons out there, especially if Hamler can get on the field early and help take the top off of that secondary. And then you have the 2 extremely athletic tight ends running up the seam. I mean, Albert O is not going to see the field for a while, but Noah Fant was a beast for a rookie. And there's just more weapons out there to take his part of the field away or to spread out his part of the field, and Locke will lean on that, I think, again too. I still love Sutton, and I absolutely love Noah Fant in both redraft and dynasty.
So where's Jeudy at?
Jeudy is at wide receiver 53, 1107. So he's where he should be as a high upside
rookie dart throw,
a double-digit round pick, as I think he should be.
Sure. All right. Anything else on the Broncos?
They're gonna make the playoffs this year.
Fair take.
I hope so. For the sake of all that is due, Stompy, I hope they make the playoffs.
This is the first time I've actually felt legitimately confident in this team since Peyton retired. So,
that's dangerous, though. With any team, not just the Broncos. I like the Broncos, but that's dangerous with any team. All right. One of the not division-related questions. I'm going to give you a chance to cut a promo here. The former Scott Fishbowl champ, and we had discussed earlier, president, it's never taken away. This year, what message do you have for everybody that opposes you?
I think you're trying to get a sneak peek of what's coming, and
Right.
I'm not giving it to you. So
We saw it,
you're
right?
gonna wait.
Got right through you there. I don't know if that's what
You're gonna wait.
No, that's exactly what I was going for. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm gonna take my lashing, or I'm gonna take my lumps over the head here.
I'm looking at the thing that I'm gonna do right now, and it's gonna be wonderful.
May I ask what? So, did you partake in trying to pick your division?
I did. I did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not understanding that apparently that is the most popular pick.
I mean, I picked Pokemon, which is very popular.
But then I changed it and I went wiffle ball because I was like, I'm a baseball player. I played in my cul-de-sac constantly with baseball and wiffle ball. So I was like, let's go wiffle ball, bro. But yeah, you're gonna have to wait.
No.
Something's coming.
That was funny.
Something's coming, and I think I am upping the ante.
You going video again?
Yes.
I cannot
yes.
wait. You better bring on the ones piece again. Like
no! I'm telling you right now, I am going above and beyond what I did last year.
You're gonna wear that fucking was it Borat swimsuit?
Yeah, no, I'm not going. Different directions. That might be something I just do for the hell of it. But yeah, I think you guys. I'm working on it this weekend.
Nice.
I think you guys will love what you see.
Perfect.
I hope so. I hope I'm not gonna rub my eyes with bleach.
No, you relax. Listen, we can't all be showers, okay? I'm a grower. It's fine. I have a normal sized penis. I'm sorry if this is a kids show.
It's
or
not.
PG
It's
show.
not even
It's
close.
not in the least
You
bit.
the upper like 10 times today so far.
Fuck.
I mean, I got kind of yelled at by my girlfriend for wearing too tight of shorts yesterday. So.
Oh, just you wait. You should show her that video of me.
I will.
Posted a picture of myself and Daisy Duke yesterday, so I'm right there with you.
We have no shame here. No shame at all.
No shame. And yeah, I know, because y'all just cut through the drop, which is normally what I do to move on when I don't want to keep talking
Trust
about
me, I know.
Stompy's penis.
Was that like trying to play me off like the Oscars?
Yes, that was trying to play trying to play the talk about your penis off. All right.
My big old pee-pee.
All right. Again, I am drinking Odell's Drumroll Hazy Pale Ale. I teed off saying that I've had this before. Not much has changed. Decently juice forward with the malt balance that you expect from an APA. I really don't have to say much more because it pretty much is as advertised.
Yep, I had Alaskan's Hazy Bay Juicy IPA, and it is also pretty much as advertised. You get a lot of kind of tropical fruit notes at the front, which is weird for Alaska because it's not tropical, but you get a lot of tropical fruit notes at the front. Finishes off nice and clean, good mouthfeel with the wheat that's added to it. So
I'm making a beer switch, by the way, because I finished that one.
Yeah, I need to make a beer switch also, but I was gonna wait until we get started on the Raiders, and then I'll go sneak out and grab one.
I'm moving on to Little Beaver's Wawa Rainbows. It's their double dry hopped.
I'm probably gonna move on to Dovetail's Vienna Lager because that's what I have called.
Ooh,
but it's been
you guys, like I was a professional brewer for 1.5 years, 2 years, and I don't even like the people, the cicerones that like, oh, you get these notes. I'm like, I mean, this shit just tastes good to me. I don't know. That one's chocolatey kind of, and that one's got a citrusy flavor because of the hops. That one's sweet because there's some lactose in it.
Yeah,
that's about my expertise in
that
tasting.
is the Dan review right there, if I ever heard one. That's like 2.5 years of how I used to give reviews, because I always followed both Chris and Nick, who are very, very good at reviewing beers, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, we're drinking the same thing too, so that didn't help. There's only so many takes you can give on a beer. Stompy, how's your water?
There's only one good thing that Budweiser has done or Anheuser-Busch has done, and that's pay for St. Louis's water supply and refurbishing it and putting good, clean water in there. So my water's good. It makes me feel hydrated and healthy.
Oh, man.
And it doesn't taste bad either. I don't have to worry about filtering. So.
Nice. Where were you a professional brewer at?
It's called Sick and Twisted. It's in Hill City, South Dakota.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
I have no idea. Anyway,
one of my beers went to the Great American Beer Fest.
No
Nice.
shit, dude. That's awesome, man.
It didn't do well, but it was cool.
It was there.
to
I mean,
say
it's
it.
cool that it was there.
It was good enough to get there.
And you heard it
You
here.
got it.
You heard it here first. Well, drinking water on a beer show is grower, not shower energy. That's that average size penis energy right there.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I don't know what else you want me to do. I'm trying to be healthy, man.
No, I respect that because I definitely am not. All right, on to the Raiders. Is Derek Carr worth owning in SuperFlex 2 quarterback league? Sure. Go ahead and discuss. I need a beer.
I mean, sure. I mean, I wrote this question down, and I'm like, I don't really
It's as
don't care.
enthusiastic as anybody should be
I
about
really
Derek Carr.
don't care. The only Raider that I'm probably looking at is Darren Waller. Everybody else, I'm good.
Including Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, because he doesn't have that pass catching upside anymore.
I feel like I'm right there with you. Like they bring back Jalen Richard.
They draft Lynn Bowden.
They draft Lynn Bowden, who is
who just got in trouble like an idiot.
And then they signed Devonta Booker because let's just add more.
Hey man, you can have that reject. Jesus.
Yeah, let's just keep adding more redundant veterans to this running back core outside of Bowden, and just suppress whatever target volume that Mike Mayock and John Gruden decided they were not going to give Josh Jacobs. So
did you ask the Josh Jacobs question? No, okay.
No, I mean, we were just discussing it because we didn't really
keep going. Actually, you host the second part of the show because I'm tired of talking, or at least
that's right.
That much.
I
want to be an analyst. Nope.
I wrote this.
I want you to host the second part.
I'm trying to agree with you.
Oh,
I assumed I was going to lead these shows, especially this one, because with you last week working 80 hours a week, what was the last thing you want to do is try to host this show? So, dude, I was all about ready to host this.
That's the only reason I was going to stay awake.
Yeah, you fucking jumped right in, and all right, that's fine. So anyway, let's go to Josh Jacobs. We just started talking about him. Hopper, you have any thoughts? Because Stompy and I just gave ours.
Yeah, the target volume is definitely a concern for me, but I think that Josh Jacobs, from a talent standpoint, I want to hold kind of in the same area as Nick Chubb, where you're on that back end running back one, kind of that 12 through 14 range.
Oh, Christopher.
I've opened a can, I see.
What?
It's a Kareem Hunt
Did you
thing.
just say that he's in the same realm as Nick Chubb?
So let me give you a little definition here. It's a Kareem Hunt thing, not a Nick Chubb talent thing. I think Nick Chubb is more talented. I think that Kareem Hunt being there is going to hurt the volume a little bit for Nick Chubb. So in terms of tearing off on stats, yes.
Well, so obviously I disagree.
I didn't get that for 1 second.
He had 1,500 yards last year and 298 carries. He's a monster. He is, in my opinion, the best rushing running back in the league. Over Zeke, over Leonard Fournette, though I don't even know why I threw him in the same.
I don't know why you put Leonard Fournette in there either.
I feel like Derrick Henry would maybe sniff that. I'm right there with you. I mean,
well, and here's the thing. I mean, there's guys I really respect out there. Jay Moyer on Twitter. And I think is it Jamie? No, it's not Jamie. Jamie Moyer is an old.
Jamie Moyer was a pitcher. Yeah.
But he does his projections, and he still had Nick Chubb at like 1,400 yards, and it's because of the moves that Stefanski is making, plus what Stefanski was as an offensive coordinator last year. And I think it's going to be good for a Baker-led offense, because I don't like Baker. I never have liked Baker. And I think he's somewhere between his rookie season and last season. So he's kind of a middling game manager type quarterback to me right now. And so if you take the ball out of his hands and he can be efficient with the ball when he's asked to throw, he will be fine. But I don't think that they can lean on Baker and win. Last year, Minnesota ranked I think 20. Now I have to do math again. 29th in terms of pass percentage. And what that tells me is that Nick Chubb is going to get a ton of touches. Cleveland had 60% pass percentage last season. Minneapolis had 52%. So that could lead to more touches for that backfield. I can get behind maybe that his pass catching upside is basically gone now that Kareem Hunt's playing an entire or will be playing an entire season unless he gets suspended again, which he did get, I believe, pulled over again this past offseason. But I still think Chubb probably approaches 300 carries and probably 1,400 yards again. And if they are a better offense, he will get double-digit touchdowns in the red zone. So he may not get 50 targets, and that's probably, 30 targets, sure. But in terms of his rushing and his touchdowns, I just don't think that Jacobs reaches that type of level, especially because that defense in Oakland is not great. So they're going to have to throw a decent amount of money.
So just looking at last year, 242 rushes for Jacobs, 1,150 yards in just 13 games. So, I know, say what you will about extrapolating, but when you're taking a 13-game sample and extrapolating that over the 3 missed, you're also putting Josh Jacobs in that 1,400-yard range, or that 1,400 rush yard range. So, realm of possible outcomes, that's why I have them close, even though I do agree that Nick Chubb has the higher upside. And it's just Stefanski can leverage that in different ways. So, it's all an educated guess. And I absolutely can see what you're saying being in that realm of possible outcomes. Looking back at last year, full season, Josh Jacobs probably would have been close to that 1,400-yard mark. So,
the other, I think especially in redraft though, he's going as what I'm looking at non-PPR. He's going as the 5th running back off the board. Again, I would rather have Chubb. I would rather have Zeke. I would rather have Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I'm not
ahead of Josh Jacobs.
Paying up to the RB5 for Josh Jacobs. I'm not paying up to the RB7 for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Like even a non-PPR, that's...
Yeah, I'm not paying up to the RB7 for Josh Jacobs. I think he's worth...
Even in PPR right now, he's going as the 6th running back, so it's not like he takes much of a hit.
No.
But again, going ahead of Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb.
He is a little too high.
Miles Sanders for those people that think that he's going to explode. Sure. I am partial to Austin Eckler as well, so I would be taking him ahead of Josh Jacobs, but it's because that pass catching upside just isn't there in PPR with Josh Jacobs. So sure, if we want to talk about non-PPR with like guys like Austin Eckler and Miles Sanders and Aaron Jones, fine. But in PPR, I just think that's way too high for me for Josh Jacobs.
I think it's too high for me for Josh Jacobs as well. I'm much more comfortable with him around the back end of that RB1 range, not the middle of it, or at least the lower middle, not the smack dab middle. So, kind of that 8 to 14 range, I'm much more comfortable than I am in that, 4 to 6 or 4 to 7.
I think just based off of quick looks, I don't think Jacobs would be in my top 12. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the type of ceiling he could see. If you're not getting 60 plus targets, I think it's either 50 or 60 plus targets. You're having a difficult time getting into that RB1 range in half point or full point. Also, I don't know if he's going to get there. He had 28 targets last year, and that's not competing with.
And they have a lot more targets like pass catchers this year too.
We have no clue what that offense is going to look like. That's the only thing that you can say. Like we don't quite know, because the entire receiving core outside of Hunter Renfrow, which I think will still have run, is completely different. And you're adding, second year of like Foster Monroe, who stole 6 touchdowns last year. So.
Yeah.
Question for you, Dan.
also-
Question
What's
for
that?
you. Then you said you have a hard time breaking into running back 1 if you don't get in that 50 to 60 target range. Do you think Nick Chubb gets in that 50 to 60 target range, given the drop off after Kareem Hunt got back, where he only had 2 games with 3 targets, everything else is 1 or 2?
I am with you with them in the same tier. I would have Chubb higher than Jacobs because I trust the offense is going to feed Chubb more.
I agree with that.
But you're absolutely right with that. Like I said, it's I think most of those in half point or higher, most of those running backs, I should pull it up to see if it's real or not. I know that I know that it's at least like 70% of it.
I think you're pretty spot on. Outside of Derrick Henry, I don't know that. I think Nick Chubb was the next closest, and he had 50 targets last year.
Yeah, like you need a remarkable type of running season to get in that point. Well, I think that outcome is possible for Nick Chubb, because I do agree with Stompy that he is at the very least a top 3 rusher of a running back in the league.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll make it. I think he makes it up with the touchdowns this year. They just they didn't have any. They couldn't. I would have to look, but I would want to see how many times they got into the red zone or into the 10 zone even, because Nick Chubb, that dude just converts on stuff. So I would need to look at that.
Just keep talking. I can look.
I think the only, and I agree with, just because with Kareem Hunt, he's taking away the passing upside or the pass catching upside from Chubb. So, maybe 30 targets. And that puts it into a realm of you better have put up Derrick Henry type numbers to be in that top 10. But I think he can do that. Like, I think he mitigates the loss of those targets with a few more touchdowns, and he's still in the top 10.
So red zone touches, looking at Nick Chubb. Sorry if I'm stealing this from you, Dan.
No, you're good. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, 52. So he was 5th in the league in red zone touches. Do you have goal line handy?
So with inside the 20, I have Nick Chubb at 26. Inside the 10, I know I just changed it. Nick Chubb, so he's at 26 inside the 20, he had 18 inside the 10, he had 7
inside the 5.
With 5 touchdowns. So he, decent conversion rate, 5 touchdowns on just 7 attempts. I think that goes up. I think Cleveland's offense is a lot better this year. I think Stefanski will do wonders for Baker with the type of offense that he ran in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. Both have similar, problems and positive notes to them. You put Baker out in open, like, you run play action, like, you let him get a feel, get out there, make a play. He'll do that well. You'll have better all-around talent. The offense doesn't have the team as a whole doesn't have this we're the best team in the league stigma around them anymore. They got shitted on last year so much, especially Baker, that he thrives when he's this underdog type of mentality to him. And that'll benefit a guy like Nick Chubb, where this is still going to be a run-first offense, especially early on in the season where the whole team is learning Stefanski's offense, and Chubb can just run free.
The Raiders are so boring. We're talking about the Browns.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the receivers then? I guess we'll move on to the Oakland wide receivers. Are any of them worth owning outside of Darren Waller in redraft leagues?
Hunter. No.
Hunter,
I tried to talk myself into it.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Hunter Renfrow, and this is not unknown to the listeners of our show.
No, you fucking love Renfrow.
Well, that's not where I was going with this. I like having a player around that gives you decent floor, that might see 7 to 9 targets and 50 to 70 yards a game, especially when you get into bye weeks and injuries and things like that I can plug in and know I'm at least going to get some floor out of, so that I can maybe go for upside in some other areas. And I've consistently kept this type of player on my roster. I did it with Adam Humphries, back in the day, Brian Hartline. I like having that type of floor guy around on my bench. And that's where Hunter Renfrow is kind of my target for that. A guy you're going to get back towards the double-digit rounds that you can plug in and get some floor out of if you absolutely need to. So I like having that type of player around. So I do see value in Hunter Renfrow in that regard, but it's important to frame up what that value is.
Yes. For me is I will not draft any of them. Maybe Renfrow, because they're all going to get dropped at some point. Even with a guy like Henry Ruggs, where we don't quite know how Gruden's going to want to tee off with a guy like him, especially because we don't really know if he's a true alpha, which he's not built to be one. I'm still not drafting him. Again, the number 1 and 2 receivers, potentially, I guess, top 3. I guess I'm going to throw Tyrell Williams in that mix, are rookie receivers or now second-year players.
Can we talk about the deep sleeper on this roster, though? Battlehawks legend, DeMornay Pearson-L.
Sure. Go ahead.
No, that's all I wanted to say. DeMornay Pearson-L
Okay.
was an absolute beast for the Battlehawks. He showed that he can cut his teeth a bit as a wide receiver, and during a commercial break, he pointed at me and told me to chug my beer, and when he tells you to chug beer, you chug beer. So there you go. My DeMornay Pearson-L story.
That's great. All right, let's move on to the Chargers. Tyrod Herbert, are these guys worth owning in any leagues in 2020?
SuperFlex, that's it.
SuperFlex.
Which one? You want both? You want Herbert or Tyrod?
Tyrod?
I would go with Tyrod. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyrod.
I mean, I think he's going to start this season, and he's got the best chance of playing the most games to me. So
he also does have decent floor when he plays. Herbert and Dynasty, if you're
of course,
getting value, but other than that, nah, not redraft, not standard single quarterback.
Yeah, this is, like I said, it's all for redraft. I don't really care. I think the Chargers are going to suck this year, so
yes, and I love it.
I like, for me, I heard that Herbert was number 2 quarterback in checkdowns, so Austin Eckler should be fine. But speaking of Austin Eckler, 16-game pace before Melvin Gordon came back, 200 carries, over 100 catches. That was his 16-game pace. I know we don't like to extrapolate games. He only had 3 games, I think, before Melvin Gordon came back, but massive upside. As of right now, he is the running back 13 at the 212. What are you guys' realistic expectations for Austin Eckler this season?
I don't like how loaded that was, and I feel attacked.
I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch.
I can be one.
I took Austin Eckler at, I think, 2.07 in a startup. I have no problem. I love Austin Eckler. He was the overall fantasy scorer 5 in the first 4 games of last season without Melvin Gordon. And even after that, he was the RB10. And everybody is screaming, Phillip Rivers is gone. He's not going to dump it down. And I'm like, it's Tyrod Taylor. There's not really much else to catch the ball.
He's going to dump it down.
I just mentioned that Justin Herbert was the second highest quarterbacks in checkdowns. And I heard this on one of Matt Kelly's podcasts. So I get it. Like, everybody's like, Tyrod doesn't use him, but it's not Anthony Lynn. Yes, it is Anthony Lynn. Yeah, he's still
Anthony Lynn's team uses those quarterbacks in those check. Like, they're not changing the offense that much. Yeah. So to me, will he get 100 targets? I don't know. But is he very feasibly, can he get 80 targets? Sure. And can he get 180 carries? Sure. So when you get 250 touches like that, 250 plus touches like that, and a majority or a significant amount of them are targets, and he's so efficient with the ball that I'm very excited for Austin Eckler. Do you really think I like Justin Jackson a lot. I think he takes over a change of pace role. Everybody's on Joshua Kelly, and I'm just like, guys, like, they would have If they didn't like what they had, they would have gone for a running back in the second round. Joshua Kelly's is a great prospect, but they still have Justin Jackson. They still have Austin Eckler. They re-signed Austin Eckler. They're going to use Austin Eckler.
Like for me, Josh Kelly is a better compliment to Austin Eckler. He's 225, not hyper athletic. Can just do it all.
I think Justin Jackson can too, but I mean, sure, I think the point is Austin Eckler will get the majority of the snaps and the touches, and those two will serve as change of pace backs for Austin Eckler.
And as far as Tyrod goes, 2017 Buffalo Bills. Take a guess at who the leading target getter was.
LaShawn McCoy.
It was LaShawn McCoy. So, I mean,
who was their leading receiver that year?
Well, let's see. It was. I got to go back.
I'm not trying to be. I'm
Charles Clay was next.
Jesus.
In
you said 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017. I got it in front.
Yeah, McCoy had 77 targets on a team.
Clay was
that team was bad too.
Charles Clay was their leading receiver. Leading wide receiver was Deontay Thompson.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Right.
Total pass attempts was 476. So
that was a bad year. But
I think I do think Herbert plays more than Tyrod.
If it's there,
more than Tyrod.
If it's there, he'll use Eckler. People forget how good with Josh Kelly thing, just real quick. People forget how good Justin Jackson was in limited duty last year too. It's not even like Josh Kelly is going to come in and even have a stranglehold on that 2 spot without a little bit of competition. I mean, this team just runs the football efficiently, unless, it's Melvin Gordon is 3.8 yards per carry. But as far as Eckler goes, he's always been efficient. The biggest concern with Eckler taking over lead back duties was, is he going to be able to maintain that efficiency with more touches? And if we saw something last year, it was yes, he can. And yes, I do think that Austin Eckler is going to be a running back 1. Not the most bold take, but I do think he's going to be a running back 1.
I think I said top 5 ceiling. I still think he can do that. He did it last year.
He's got an insane floor. If he can if he can hold up, he's only $1.99. So if he holds up, that's kind of an outlier, just in that sense.
I'd say running back 1. He's a lock for top 8 for me.
I have no problem.
Listen, in order to get 250 touches,
can the quarterbacks be this much worse than what Rivers was last year?
No, Rivers was terrible.
He was fucking horrible last year.
But to get above 240 or more touches, he just has to get 15 total touches in a game, which, okay, you can get that a myriad of ways with Austin Eckler. So he is the RB1 here. He won't get as many touches as many of the RB1s, but he's so efficient and such a good route runner that he's up there. He has that top 5 potential. That is in the range of potential outcomes for Austin Eckler this year.
Yeah. He is Alvin Kamara light, just on a shittier offense.
And
that's the only thing that's keeping him from there.
And looking at who may take over that change of pace role, I just want to throw one more shout out to my guy Justin Jackson. Those first 2 games last year without Melvin Gordon, he was 57 and 59 yards, I believe. So on the ground with just 6 and 7 carries. So just saying, it's not a lock that it's Josh Kelly taking over that change of pace duty either.
I just threw his name out there because of this.
Yeah, because he's getting high.
Far bigger than Justin Jackson.
I just looked up the red zone numbers, I believe, for 2019, just because I wanted to see the numbers that existed. They are pretty far down the list. They only got into the red zone the Browns, that is. This is the Browns. Only got into the red zone 50 times. And they only converted 58%, which is middle of the pack.
We're back to the Browns. The second half of this.
I wanted to share that because that was what I was asking was.
I know.
I think the red zone attempts go up.
I'm just making light of the fact.
I just wanted to make. I was searching for it for a while.
I
needed to put it out there because I felt I did some work to get.
You got to put it out into the world.
With that Nick Chubb jab. He's going to be Nick Chubb jab. Oh, by the way,
I've had to deal with this with. I had to deal with it with Aton too. He even said Kareem Hunt's better than Nick Chubb, and I had a yelling match with Aton.
I don't agree with that.
He's not going to get when you said that there's a chance the Broncos could have 2 top 24 running backs this year, the Browns are my top team to get to that point.
They did it in the second half too. But believe they both finished one right after the other. And I think it was like RB16 or RB17.
Like I think Hunt had like 5 straight games with a touchdown. He got used. I mean, like when your offensive line is bad and you got to dump it off to the lowest, depth of target, guy you got, it's going to be Kareem Hunt. So, anyways, wide receivers. Last topic here. Keenan Allen, wide receiver 17, 406. How do we feel about that? About his ADP right now?
That seems like a steal to me, man. I mean, this is a fairly concentrated offense. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals. It's Keenan Allen for 140 targets. Mike Williams gets his 100 targets. Hunter Henry will get his 80 plus. But Keenan Allen's the target monster here, and they will have to use him. And I think, especially with Herbert, if Herbert plays, I think they're going to want to get the ball out quickly. And Keenan Allen plays a significant amount of his snaps from the slot. So at 17, I think that's a steal because he's still a back end wide receiver 1 for me.
I think he is a lock top 5 in targets. I don't care who the quarterback is. You are going to get it out quickly. As you just mentioned, I think I want no part of Mike Williams. I don't think this offense is going to produce enough. I don't trust that they're going to push it vertically enough, or at least put it into the range of outcomes for Mike Williams to even make plays. Hunter Henry, I want tight ends that are at least going to have a decent touchdown opportunity chance. So I'm a bit out on him for this year. What are your thoughts?
I talked earlier about a bunch of receivers that I feel like are being disrespected, and Keenan Allen's one of them. He's been, as long as he's been healthy, he's been pretty consistently upwards of 120, 130 targets, 1,100 yards, and 6 touchdowns each of the last 3 seasons. And it's not like Phillip Rivers has been lighting the world on fire here. I think that Stompy's right when he says this is a very concentrated offense, and people forget the reason Sammy Watkins still gets hype was with Tyrod Taylor at the helm. 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns in that 2015 season. So he can produce a wide receiver 1. I don't think that because the offense is going the way of Tyrod Taylor that you can kill Keenan Allen.
Oh no, you don't kill Keenan Allen.
To the point also with Herbert too. You talk about tight ends being the safety blanket for a young quarterback. Well, Keenan Allen's the type of route runner that can be a safety blanket over the middle and in the intermediary game for a young quarterback. So I don't think Keenan Allen's dead. Wide receiver 1, probably wouldn't go bet on that. Top 16, top 15, yeah, sure. I'm game for that.
So this offense, I don't think is going to really change under Steve Steichen. He's been with the Chargers since 2014, I believe. So it's not like we're changing this entire offense. Might adjust a bit with the quarterbacks, but I mean, he was the offensive quality coordinator or quality control coach in 2014, moved to quarterbacks coach in 2016, and then was the interim offensive coordinator and now the full-time offensive coordinator the last 2 seasons. So I just don't. The offense or the quarterback changes, and you're probably getting a little worse at quarterback, slightly, I guess. But I don't think this offense changes much. I think it's going to flow through Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler in terms of the passing game, and Hunter Henry and Mike Williams are kind of the secondary, tertiary options in terms of pass catchers.
So let's just quickly. So Hunter Henry 603 is a tight end 6 right now.
Nope, get out of here with that.
Yeah, he's going ahead of
the 6th tight end.
Yeah, it's tight end 603, which seems a bit high for the 6th tight end to begin with. But he's going ahead of Evan Ingram, Tyler Higbee, Austin Hooper, Jared Cook, Noah Fant, Hayden Hurst, Mike Gesicki. There's a lot of names on here that I would rather own or have than Hunter Henry.
Here's the thing with tight end is if you don't get Kelsey, Kittle, or Andrews,
you punt it and you go for
I mean, listen, no Fant's going in the 11th. Mike Gesicki's going in the 12th. Hawkinson the 13th.
Man,
Smith, Jonnu Smith,
year.
and Doyle are going in the 13th. I think people are forgetting about Ian Thomas going to what should be a high-powered offense.
I love Ian
that
Thomas.
has traditionally used the tight end, but or the Panthers have used the tight end, but it's new offense, so I don't know. But I would rather take a shot than taking a tight end early, especially in one tight end, no premium.
Yeah, like if I can't get Kelsey or Kittle and probably Mark Andrews, I don't even really want Zach Ertz, especially where he's going at. But
get Dallas Goedert. How many rounds later?
Yeah.
Nine rounds later.
Like, give me Hawkinson, give me Fant, give me Gesicki, especially if Tua sees playing time this year. Like, it actually doesn't even matter. Give me Gesicki anyways.
Here's one for you. Austin Hooper was the tight end 6 last year. Okay. And only played 13 games. Overall tight end 6. Your top 6 were Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Andrews, Ertz, Hooper. How many of those guys were consistent week in and week out to where you weren't looking to stream tight ends anyway? It was Hooper when he was healthy in Atlanta, not in Cleveland, where you've got Njoku and other things to contend with. So it was really Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. And
I think Waller, you could probably put Waller in there. He was pretty consistent.
I don't know about this much this year, though. Like, I don't know.
This year, no, but last year,
last year,
especially last year.
But if I'm really talking about the Raiders, that's really the only pass catcher I want.
Listen to the bottom half of this list, though. Jared Cook, Tyler Higbee, Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert, Mike Gesicki, Jason Witten, and then that's your top 12 right there. I mean, Cook, Higbee, Henry, Goddard, Gesicki, Witten, not necessarily what I would consider consistent or people you want to go spend a ton of draft capital on.
And they're still tight end.
Yeah, and they're still tight end ones. So find a guy with upside, take him late, and roll it if you can't. Looking at points per game, we'll
draft 2 of them at the back end of your draft. Just draft 2 high upside tight ends. One of them will likely hit because you take an Ian Thomas, you take a Jonnu Smith, you take a TJ Hawkinson, no offense, like take these guys that are going to be in offenses that are going to produce points.
But even like Jack Doyle, I'm not trusting rookie wide receivers, so I'm not trusting Pittman. T.Y. Hilton's been meh the last couple of seasons. Paris Campbell, I actually like Paris Campbell.
I love Paris Campbell this year.
But Jack Doyle is like the remnant of this offense, and he gets like 80 targets a year regardless of what happens. So if you're not getting those top 3, go for guys that either are going to get high targets like Waller or Jack Doyle, or get the touchdowns like Dallas Goedert. Not waste an early round pick on a tight end that's not going to give you much of an advantage.
Here's a fun game for you. What was the point per game difference between Jared Cook and Travis Kelce last year?
I think it's like
PPR.
6.
It was 2 in half PPR on average. Fine. It was 2 in per game. 10.4 per game for Jared Cook, 12.9 for Travis Kelce. You know what the ADP difference was between those two? A lot.
10 rounds?
Yeah, just saying. So, overall spread, there was a bit of a difference. But, in your average points per game, it was 2. So,
well, there you go. I mean, listen, at this point, the tight end position is a big advantage in the NFL, but in terms of fantasy, it just doesn't make sense to reach for a tight end unless it's like one of those top 3, and then after that, you better punt the position. So don't be getting guys in the middle rounds, unless like Ertz somehow falls into the 7th, which won't happen. Get guys like we just said. I mean, no Fant going double digits is absolutely criminal with the mismatches he presents. Mike Gesicki going behind Noah Fant is criminal because we saw him have a mini breakout in the second half last year. Get the high upside, low risk guys and not the middle of the road. Maybe they will, maybe they won't type of tight ends.
Yep. All right. Last question. We like to ask these for most of our guests. And most times we don't forget to ask
this one's going to be good.
We, and by me, we, me and Chris have generally given ours a bunch. So, Stompy, give us your boldest, most raunchiest, steamiest, hottest, gonna burn your fucking mouth off take for the 2020 redraft season.
I'm going to cut the middle here a little bit. So I had already talked about Drew Lock. Drew Lock, and if you don't know my history, I tend to either I got lucky or I know what I'm doing. Either or, it's kind of a 50-50 at this point. I was an early tout of Patrick Mahomes before he won the MVP. I was an very early tout of Lamar Jackson. In fact, I posted that Lamar Jackson would finish ahead of Baker. This was in middle of, I believe it was probably after OBJ was traded. And I said, Lamar Jackson will finish better than Baker. Obviously, Lamar Jackson was a MVP last year. I am not saying that Drew Lock is going to be MVP because I think that's going to be a hard prediction to make ever with any award. But I'll cut in the middle here. I'm confident Drew Lock will finish as a top 10 QB. I will say he will finish as a top 8 QB in 2020.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll take it. That's bold enough.
What are we bold enough? You want me to say top 5?
You mentioned earlier.
I said he has that upside. I will not make that prediction. I would say that saying he's the top 8 quarterback, pretty bold for a guy who only played 5 games last year.
I think for most people, just saying that he's a QB1 is bold. So
yeah.
I'm just trying to ruffle your feathers.
How about this? Austin Eckler is a top 5 running back in 2020.
There you go.
Love it. We'll say both. Bro, we'll put you down for both.
Those have been my 2 this year. Is the 2 loves of my life are those 2.
That's it. Papa, you want to add anything else? Or you want to just
Sure. I'll go ahead and throw in one that I don't think I've shared on this show yet that I've come into my own on here recently. Kenyan Drake, top 6 running back.
I like that
this year. I said last episode.
I'm sorry. He's got all the upside in the world in that offense. He's going to have all the space to work in that offense, and there's going to be a lot of volume that doesn't all go to the passing game in that offense. And we saw what happened after he got there last year. The disrespect to Kenyan Drake ain't going to continue after this year. He's a top 6 running back.
I like that. I
do too. I mentioned it last week. This one definitely isn't bold, at least if you look on Twitter hard enough. But I said Joe Mixon's a top 3 back this year.
If he plays.
If he plays?
Yeah. He's holding out right now.
Mixon?
Yep.
Mixon is?
Yeah, I believe that's what was said.
I knew Cook was.
Now I have to search because it's
bold prediction. Dalvin Cook's not going to miss any games this year. Oh man.
Well, this was in April. Joe Mixon reportedly planning holdout with an extension. I guess it hasn't been officially announced. But
he was.
Those rumors are there.
Preparing, I think is going to be a rumor with any running back that's nearing the end of their first contract anyway.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
It's an easy one to take.
Kamara's in the same boat too.
I didn't know, miss 4 games and then realize they can't miss, not 4 games. So miss 4 days after the mandatory of having to be there, and then realize that they can't miss anymore. All 3 of them will come back.
Well, and I think the new CBA really hampers them.
5. So Nate Liss from the Breakout Finder podcast just posted this on his Patreon, basically stating they have 5 days after the mandatory, like they have to be there, and it's a $40,000 a fine per day that has to be paid out by the player, and if they miss after their 5th day, they don't accrue that season towards their free agency. So they are fucked. No leverage for Cook, no leverage for Mixon or Kamara.
Here we are again with the owners just screwing the players. Jesus Christ. And they're doing it in MLB too. Everybody, eat the rich. We need guillotines. This is your call to action. We're revolting.
Love it.
No, I gotta agree with it though, especially for running backs. You have pretty much as a running back 1 shot at making your money and getting that big contract. You've got 1 shot and now they're taking all the leverage away from them also. And it's a position that gets beat up. It's a position that takes more hits than damn near any other position on the field. It's a position that can screw you up for the rest of your life, and they're trying not to pay these guys, and that's fucked up.
And you got to be CMC to even sniff that type of or be the focal point. And even then, like Derrick Henry franchise tag, probably not going to be there after 2020. So
they're gonna if these running backs hold out, they are going to screw themselves out a lot of money. I mean, Melvin Gordon and Lev Bell both holding out, I think, screwed themselves out of a lot of money, and they didn't have that restricted free agency looming over their heads.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that either's going to hold out. So I wouldn't worry about Dalvin Cook. If anything, I would be buying him because
buy him in Dynasty, dude. There are people that are like, oh my god, like they see holdout and they go straight towards Lev Bell.
Home league and try and trade for Dalvin Cook here.
Even though I've been kind of like moving away from Cook, not because of holdouts, but because of durability concerns long term.
Oh no, I get that. He would actually be like my RB2 or RB3.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't even need him.
Yeah, that's completely fine. All right. I think that's it.
That's our show. Stompy, one more time, where can the people find you at? Where can they listen to you again? Because you are a super entertaining
everywhere.
Guy.
Yeah. So I will be back on Stompy the Bear, and I think I just saw under 9 hours. So by the time this comes out, I'll be back there. So follow me at Stompy the Bear on Twitter. Follow. Okay, I'm gonna go through a list. Follow the Dynasty Diagnostic. We get guests, and we also take your rosters and break them down and tell you where you need to improve every episode. You can follow us at Dino Diagnostic on Twitter, and we are on the Dynasty Trade Calculator series of podcast or company, a podcast company, family. There you go, family podcasts.
Family.
Also, if you want to donate to Patreon, if you hear us, we're at patreon.com/Dino Diagnostic. Go visit ffmerks.com, find out what we can do to help you win draft, improve your roster, what kind of trades, what kind of start sits that you want even a given week. We offer all of that and more for both fantasy football and fantasy baseball. Again, that's ffmerks.com. We are also in the process of building a new website, which we will have tools on like ADP, like projections. There'll be a DFS tool. So pay attention to that, and we'll announce that at FFMerks on Twitter. SuperFlex Super Show is on the DLF family of podcasts at SuperFlex Show on Twitter. You can hear me yell at John Hogue at SuperFlex Dude on both the FFMerks and the SuperFlex Super Show, and basically just every time I talk to him.
I mean, you don't lie.
I started a new podcast, not fantasy football related. I hope it's okay if I'm plugging this.
Yes.
It's called Listen, a podcast. With everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, it's become very obvious to me and many people that the more privileged don't actually recognize our own privilege and don't recognize the trials and tribulations that many oppressed minorities go through on a daily basis. And this podcast aims to give those oppressed minorities a platform to tell you about their personal experiences, so you can have the emotional side of those things along with the numbers, which I kind of help throw out there throughout. But I mostly just want you to hear somebody tell you their stories and what they've had to deal with in their life. So that's Listen, a podcast. You can basically get it anywhere you listen to podcasts, and it's at listen_a_pod on Twitter. Please, we just released our first I just released right? Yeah, I had Chris Allen on there talking about some of his experiences growing up in a more affluent neighborhood and not being a traditional Black person per se, as many or as we describe them in society, or we've put that in our heads. So yeah, give that a listen. Let me know, what you guys think. I still have a lot of guests lined up for this, and I think it's the best way I know how to continue this movement to continue to get the voices out there and let and not be let us not forget what has happened these past 2 weeks and what has happened over the history of the United States and really the world when it comes to minorities, especially Black people. So I'm really proud of this project. It's probably one of the things I'm most excited about right now because I think I can do good with continuing the movement in that way. So go check that out, please.
And he says early on he's just a grump, not an all-around good guy, but he's out here
You've
doing
been one
that
of the
and
best
using his
people since
platform.
this all happened.
Yeah,
I'm
opinion.
a Bernie fan, and we
So,
think
and
most
so am I.
most people think of Bernie as an old grumpy Jew, and I think that's right. Like, you need those type of leaders, right? That are going to just be like, listen, you're being real dumb. You need to check yourself, or I'm going to check you for you.
Sure.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're not in an uproar over what has happened just in the past 2 weeks, but if you start to learn about everything that has occurred in this country that has been swept up under the rug, you should be outraged, absolutely outraged. And the saddest part of this is sorry, I'm going on more diatribes here, but
You're fine.
Keep
the
going.
saddest part of all of this was a couple days ago, I was waiting to pick up food. I was talking to it was a African-American kid just wiping down tables. Just asked him how he was dealing with things over the past couple weeks. And he kind of just shrugged and said, you get used to it. And that's the saddest thing for me.
That's so fucked up to hear, man.
Yeah, I'm outraged. I'm outraged, but I don't have to deal with it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans, it's American Indians is the proper term. All have to deal with this, and I just want everybody to understand what that is like, so you can understand the inherent racism in the U.S. or that the U.S. has been founded on.
Sure. One other thing I mentioned in the intro, and I'm sure that this doesn't need my hype, but I mentioned in the intro that, if you haven't looked at the other side of the lens, educate yourself. If you're asking yourself why X, Y, and Z is happening, seek out those answers, go look for them, talk to somebody. And if you really want to find out, I stumbled into this a couple days ago. I shared it with Dan, but Emmanuel Acho.
Oh my God.
NFL theme.
Great.
Yeah. Emmanuel Acho is doing a web series called Difficult Conversations with a Black Person. And it's basically going through a lot of those questions that you hear people ask, from why is rioting happening? Why is there looting happening? Why can a certain term be used in lyrics, or be used by a Black person to another Black person, not by a white person? All those things that you see pop up is normal defenses to sweep this type of systemic racism under the rug. He does a great job of explaining, a great job of breaking it down, and a great job of doing it without making anybody feel attacked. Not that feelings are the most important thing here, but it is one of the most understandable things that I have watched. So be sure to go check that out if you are looking yourself to understand that. Obviously, give Stompy stuff a listen at listen_a_podcast. I hope I got that right. But
yes, no, listen _a_pod.
Pod. Got it. Yep. Chris Allen, we had him on the first guest he had on. We had him on a couple weeks back, and Chris Allen is a great dude, and it was one of the most unique episodes we've done. One of my favorite episodes because we just sat and geeked about beer for 3+ hours. So
it literally just homebrew, and I soaked.
It was more
so
beer than football that episode.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite things we've done, so be sure to go give that a listen. We are at Beerfield FF. I am at Hot BFF. Dan is at Thurry BFF. FantasyHeadliners.com, promo code BEER. Go check out their draft guide. Get that in your back pocket. Be sure to use the promo code, enter yourself for a chance to win that signed DJ Moore jersey, and get all the information broken down in whatever way you want to look at it in your back pocket. Low price, just $19.99 to support those guys. Stompy, thank you so much for coming on.
This was fun.
Yes, it was a great
It's
time.
nice to shit on my favorite teams division mates. So
I wanted to seek out and find people for each division because they're like, well, I get this biased take. I'm like, no, I want one team's biased take, and I want to see how they shit on the other three teams. While like Chris and I try to like balance it out because it's fun. Like we miss having a third person on, and through us doing this for now 2.5, 3 months now
of just guests
getting on here, we've realized that, and I think we found how we want to do things moving forward. It is we're not trying to be like the same podcast that you listen to or that you can find on all platforms. And we want to be unique and bring beer and bring football, and also let people come on and be able to talk about the things in the world. So again, Stompy, thank you for coming on. And I was hoping we'd be able to meet again at the FF Expo, but
damn it!
I mean, he lives here, Dan. He lives here, Dan. You can come visit me and hang out.
I know he does.
Yeah, wait. Which one's in Canada? Or both of you are down here? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm down here.
Chris is down there.
I'm down here actually in St. Louis. Dan's in Springfield, Illinois. Is an hour away.
That's
he was here for the draft.
Springfield's like an hour and a half away, so we'll plan something.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner than later,
if the Cardinals start playing, let's go to a game.
For sure, I'd love to watch the Cubs.
I want to see Busch Stadium.
I'd love to watch the Cubs beat the Cardinals. I mean, what?
Damn it! I can't. Where are you from?
I'm from Springfield, Illinois. But
God damn it! I thought it was like split in half. Like
it is split. It is
Cardinals.
It is split in half. My grandpa's a Cubs fan and a Bears fan and everything. So I picked it up there.
All right, fair enough.
Family thing. Anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Dan, any parting words?
No, we'll have Chris Kennedy on next week when we break down the AFC East. After that, to be determined.
Yeah, we're not planning that far ahead right now. Cheers.
I can't even figure it out right now. See you.